Yo, what's good? Okay, so basically, what happened in this debate? God, I'm sick as fuck right now. But what basically happened during this debate? Currently, it's a 45-minute video. I know the full version would have been like 1 hour. But here's the thing: I actually have the full recording, and I did post it on my channel, right? But when I looked back at the recording, I realized that the the noise from my microphone, like, because everybody can hear my voice in the VC, everybody can hear me clearly, right? But from the recording, from my recording, right, it was not picking up. My voice was not picking up or anything, and that's because I did a mistake. I put my speakers to a different speaker. That's why it didn't pick up. So this is why I'm just posting the half version. But I'll give a clarification on what happened in the debate, or like half the debate, because this is actually half the main point. In this point, it was like 20% of like 20 other percent of the debate, and then we moved on to conclusions. So basically, what happened here was, I took the premise of, okay, God exists, and don't argue this as in, oh, it's actual religious beliefs. We put this into a perspective of a subject or hypothesis. We're not putting it into actual beliefs, opinions. We're not putting it into that. Otherwise, sometimes it would be deemed as disrespectful, because mostly when we're debating that, I mean, this is like mostly how we debate and how mostly the main community works now. Considering they're like, oh, my opinion is more superior than yours, so that's what people mostly go for now. Even though winning or losing a debate is usually subjective, but that's just how the main community stands. Although he takes the premise of either atheist or agnostic, he picks agnostic, and I take the argument that my God exists, and God exists, of course, and I give the properties of my God being divine and unconditioned. So I proved how an existence of a creator can be fulfilled, right? And then I conjunctioned the argument of God being unconditioned, absolute, something unchangeable, right? Considering I found arguments for those, and I even proposed the Kalam cosmological argument for that. And I propose things as something where, for example, this is one page in the Kalam cosmological argument. It's called uh, it has two premises and one conclusion, I think, and I think I already gave it. Basically, here I don't even need to read it. I think it basically says that everything that begins has a cause to exist, or everything that begins to exist has a cause. Premise two: the universe began to exist. Premise three: therefore, the universe has a cause. And basically, right here, in defense of the second premise, it offers various philosophical arguments to show the impossibility of an infinite regressive temporal phenomena, and infinite temporal regressive events, as in shown by the second pages of something where it's an argument for an impossibility of an actual infinite, right? And basically, it's saying that an actual infinite cannot exist, nor can actual infinite be theorized, be perceived, be conceptualized. Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? And basically, right here, because infinite temporal regressive events, you can correlate that to many other arguments, such as I correlate to regressive events to possible worlds, because sometimes we argue events, possible worlds, but that's not what we're arguing. I'm just giving an example of what we could argue about this, but no, I'm not here to teach. I'm here to give the main argument we had in our debate. So basically, this is my argument on it. Basically, enhanced of an infant past, continuing from the what I said before, the teaching and shit. The limit at which the finite past terminates, it's basically called something the eternal, considering it's eternal with the main focus of time. Considering time cannot end, time is an abstract concept that derives on our consumption, well, not consumption, but our main compositions. And basically, uh, it's basically evidently takes to be a state of something timelessness. And given the truth of the first premise saying that everything that begins to exist has a cause, it basically means that the finite past must therefore stop an eternal being from which the first temporal being should have originated. So you can argue many things with an eternal argument, such as eternal concepts and eternal being, something unchangeable with this too. And I conjunction this to things like the absolute term for philosophy, Hegel's absolutist. Many theories range from something ineffable, apophatic, and he argued about this, saying that, oh, God is beyond comprehension, and ineffable. But if he cannot be expressed by through any language, then how can we express through his studies on that? And I gave an example on something like this. Oh well, since we can study the compositions, the nature, considering ontology. It views the natural world. It studies the main nature of existence, whether from the external reality or beyond the external reality. And my main argument here is that, considering it's not deriving from religious beliefs, of course, my main argument here is that God is unconditioned and divine, basically meaning he is a metaphysical being. That's what I meant. And beyond our external reality and what we know about it, basically beyond the main physical concepts that govern the principles of our reality. And then basically so on about this. He also argues that about my uncaused, well, not uncaused cause, that's something else different from the cosmological argument. He basically argues this that he argues that something that has to exist beginning with a cause is contradictory, and he gives some of these arguments about zero-dimensional constructs and stuff. But yeah, this is just my main point. Now it's been fucking 6 minutes of an intro, so I'm just gonna end it right here. I already explained enough of his argument and my argument before this recording and stuff pretty well, I think. But it's kind of complicated to understand. But I'll just end it right here, I think. And I think y'all can have a good presentation. Well, not good presentation, but good view of what we were going with in this debate. All right, so see ya. Space, if he was beyond or if he was bounded by these terms, he wouldn't necessarily be a divine God, considering he should be beyond our external reality because he is a main divinity. We can even argue from Hegel's use of absolute. Otherwise, in term, considering it basically means perfect and complete. So by this logic, you can derive the opinion that God is a divine being. So even if, like, I can say this with the terms I said before, I can say that God is a divine being, a metaphysical being that we cannot comprehend because he's beyond our external reality. And I can also give this argument from this by these infinities correlating and conjunctioning to the existence of God. They're basically impossible infinities, such as the arguments I give for these infinities. For example, I'll give one argument here. It basically says here that everything that begins to exist has a cause, and the universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. Now, in this view, it's called the Kalam cosmological argument. Basically, here in the defense of the second premise I gave, where the universe began to exist, it's basically this. Uh, it's a simple syllogism in support of the existence of a creator. Basically, here, every being which begins has a cause for its beginning. Now, the world is a being which begins, therefore it possesses a cause for its beginning. Now, again, from that defense of the second premise I gave, which respond to that argument in conjunction to that argument, basically it offered philosophical arguments or various philosophical arguments to show the impossibility of an infinite regress of temporal phenomena and hence of an infinite past. The limit at which the finite past terminates, it's called the eternal, as in by this argument that I'm giving, which is the main divinity to how God would be a metaphysical being, and how the properties would correlate to him being an unconditioned God, an unconditioned existence, basically, which he evidently takes to be a state of timelessness. Therefore, if God was not unbounded by time, he cannot have a beginning nor an end. He is the beginning of the end, basically, by this, considering that's basically it. He's not bound by time, not bound by those universal constants we have, nor is it universally dependent, nor is it mainly focusing around the of our main reality. Now, for here, it says here is given the truth of the first premise, which I said about everything that begins to exist has a cause. It basically says that the given truth of the first premise, the finite past must therefore stop at an eternal being, from which the first temporal being should have originated. So, therefore, that is my reason how God exists as an unconditioned absolute being that is unchangeable. Do you have any refutations?
Alright, based upon hearing all of these argumentations, quote unquote, I'll just go based on the conjunction of what you're trying to connect here. So you're going based upon divinity, basing upon columns cosmology, and then basing upon the God's existence. So where's that? Firstly, for the columns cosmological arguments, I'll just argue that's kind of some form of like a non sequitur to this point. Because even as a whole, if you're going to go compromise existence and its entire concepts, and then
When
just
also
comprise
appealing to a theological argument of contradiction.
I would just give a form of contradiction as to why it is. It's because zero dimensional as a whole already cannot has a form of cause towards it. Its existence as a whole is compromised with existence as it is like a point in space. So it won't necessarily be conjunctioning that is form existence from the Big Bang. So yes, that would be form like that would just be presupposing this universe in question, which you argue as a cause towards it. Would it be because of the columns cosmology argument? Although I'm basing off the non sequitur to the point because some everything that exists has a cause, right? However, things like zero dimensional literally doesn't have a cause when it literally just exists because it's a point in space. That point in space in question is that it is all non-existential, yet the existential question is literally in space. So I argue upon existence-wise what is trying to compute as. For the second point, when you're going based upon this God in question, since God is definite and God created like everything, am I correct? So if you're gonna basing off, well, okay, the universe is the cause, then there has to be a creator for this. However, you'll be presupposing this creator in question would be same identification towards God. Because you could just argue or presuppose that there's a bunny god. Matter of fact, you can actually argue there's probably some fucking man or black man out there who's a gorilla who has the power of magic and just create the universe. So I don't see how this just compromise or argue objective fact or pucar or pertain God's existence. So I don't really see how this argues necessary existence or necessitates existence to God. Go ahead and refute this.
Alright, I don't believe you just refuted my whole argument. One, I never said anything about a point in space. Okay, and first off,
I
okay,
know.
I
Hold on,
will
hold
talk
on,
now.
hold on. Hold on. The point
What?
in space. No, no, I'll clarify. You said you never said about the point in space. I never said about that. I'm giving an analogy towards why have like everything that exists doesn't necessarily need a cause basing off zero dimensionality. But yeah, go ahead and continue your arguments. I'll be waiting.
Okay, I'll show you a scan real quick. Basically, the universe I was talking about was not presupposing a universe somewhere in a point of space and external reality. Yeah, I was mainly focusing on our base universe. Again, it's an argument from a main theological argument of the existence of impossibilities on how things can be unconditioned and beyond comprehension, yet can be studied within these facts, within these contradictions, and how the existence of God, the existence of a true creator can be created. Well, not created. What am I talking about? Can exist basically. I'm going way too fast. But basically, I will send the scan right now. I was not talking about something like a point in space. I'm deriving from the universe we exist in, the reason like we are here, the point in space we are in, planet Earth, what we are basically in confinement in. Basically here. Let me show you the scan in general
All
or in
right,
chat
I know
dimension.
you're basing off this in our external reality. However, the syllogism says that everything that exists has a cause, and I'm saying I don't agree with that because something that is a point in space, like zero dimensional, didn't necessarily have a cause, yet it is existence towards.
Wait,
As
how is it? Wait, how is it zero dimensional?
I didn't say it's zero dimensional. I'm giving an analogy of a comparison to that syllogism and say that's why it's a fucking contradiction or a non sequitur.
I
I'm
didn't
not.
give a false illusion though.
The universe, I was not talking about another universe. Main universe, we exist in zero. Everything that we get. I know what the column's cosmological argument is. You're going syllogism, right? So premise one, everything that begins to exist as a cause. Premise two, the universe begins to exist. Premise three, no, the conclusion. Therefore, the universe has a cause. I'm simply refuting that one specific, which is premise one, to pretty much like fall apart this entire deductive reasoning or this deduction in question. You're saying everything that begins to exist has a cause. I'm literally simply refuting that with an analogy via beat non sequitur because there are things that exist that doesn't need a cause like zero dimensionality. So you're arguing it's a lack of spatial temporality, the lackings of time temporalities towards it and that spatial towards it to exist. But then this zero D in question exists as a point in space. Then if you're going on the concept of existence, then well, if you're going based off that, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Well, okay, I would just simply argue a non sequitur because there are things that exist doesn't need a cause. That's what I'm trying to argue. So I'm refuting premise one. Hence for premise two, which you saying the universe has begin to exist, this will be presupposing the fact that this universe in question has a cause to exist. So I'm literally refuting it, basing off destroying premise one with a contradiction. Premise two, therefore, that be a presupposition and cannot be true. The conclusion on this case, you're saying that therefore the universe has a cause, which I already refuted with premise one, premise two. Then therefore your conclusion would be false. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, again, as you said about the zero-dimensional thing having a cause to exist, that doesn't really make sense. First off, a zero is arranged as something that has no possible data to be arranged in itself, and basically, as a definition, means nothing. As you can see, its main definition, it says here that basically, right here, it's a factor of a
Wait,
number.
zero
But
dimension means
wait.
nothing. That
But it's basically here that it says there are no positive values less than zero, so the data set cannot be arranged. It counts as a possible combination of how data can be arranged, meaning it cannot. So if zero is nothing, then how can nothing exist? If something is zero dimensional, that means it's nothing. Nothing cannot
no,
just be
hold up.
existing.
I
It
think
doesn't
you
make
said
sense at
zero
all.
dimensional. Zero dimensional.
Wait. Let me refute the main argument. Again, this wouldn't really refute my arguments of the premise and how it says it is. For example, I can like, for example, I can't just create a phone popping out of nowhere existence. If I want to create a phone or something, then I have to, do some research, do some engineering, and make the phone. That's how I make the phone. If I want to make something, if I want to make a planet, then I need to be a way higher advanced civilization, which I basically can be. How the fuck that I can see? Anyways, I never conceded to this fact. Basically, what
Okay,
I'm trying to say
I'll give a
is that
simple recitation
everything
to
has a
that first part. No.
and
Let me give a
basically
simple
you're trying to say
recitation.
if something, bro, let me talk. If something cause exists, then bound to it. If it had a position, if it had no cause to exist, then how does it mean composition? Considering to have a composition, it needs to have a cause. So, for example, I can say that, oh, I'm in a compositional point. Let's hypothetically put this into an absolute point. I'm in composition of a gun, basically. That's where I'm bounded by. Say I'm in composition of time. Basically, that has to be cause. If I was not in composition of time before, but I'm now in composition of time, there has to be a cause for me to be composition of time, but not a composition of time before. So basically, this doesn't even make sense to it. Again, I'm giving this main
Okay,
analogy.
let me
Everything
hold
has
up.
it has
Can
something
I
to
speak
exist.
now? All right, can I speak now? Sure. For the zero-dimensional part, you said that it is comprised of nothing, therefore zero. I said zero-dimensionality lacks spatial temporality, therefore the lack of time axis and spatial axis within its existence. But it's still a point in space. So I'm basing this point in space in question to have an identity, therefore it would still be an existence. Towards that, I'm basing the concept of existence as what the objective existence notion or fucking notated it as. So zero dimensional can indeed exist. It's just a point in space, but it's not spatial temporality made, meaning there has to be no cause for its existence. And for the second part with the phone analogy, when you said you want to make a phone, there has to be a cause. However, again, this is like presupposing the fact. Well, okay, the first premise proclaimed that everything that exists has a cause. So that would be a form of like non sequitur. Since I said zero dimensionality can be comprised as everything. I know not everything, but it could be like a subset of everything, and yet it exists without a
Okay,
cause.
wait.
Henceforth,
Okay,
that
wait.
premise is sufficient.
Wait.
So
Hold
no,
on.
no, no. Let me continue. So you said the universe then begins to exist. It's because from this thing is materialized in our external reality. I'm basing off the arguments of the column cosmological arc that well this presupposes what's the existence in question. Because again, zero dimensionality is kind of like what I'm trying to argue as an analogy. How everything that exists can how some things that can exist excluding including the universe can still exist without a cause because there'll be a presupposition on that part since again premise one everything that exists has a cause which I refuted based upon well non sequitur based upon the analogy of zero dimensionality. The premise two argument is one trying to conjunction with that premise one and I refuted that as well. Conjunction to conclusion would pretty much be um also false. So literally I do not see how this imply or refute my arguments. Okay, since you're describing this, go ahead and go refute,
Okay.
or we can have conclusions with this one. Matter of fact,
First off, no. It's fine. I can give my review. First off, you said zero dimensionality lacks something in spatial temporality. Spatial temporality basically, or spatial temporal basically means of or existing in both space time, two of or concerned with space time. So basically, if it lacks spatial temporality context or spatial temporality exists like existence, then it cannot exist within spatial temporality. First off, if it didn't have time to exist, then when will it get there? When will it be there or something? If it didn't have space to exist, then basically it wouldn't have any it's comprised in somewhere, and basically it would be non-existent. If it had nothing of space and time, then it would be non-existent. Considering space and time is to make compositions for a being to exist, you can argue that I can assign a higher form of something metaphysical, but zero dimensionality is comprised well, not comprise, because again, as I already said, my definition for zero is something that is nothing. So again, with this with this thing, you just conceded to my point about zero being nothing, zero dimensional being nothing. Considering you said that something zero dimensionality would still be a point in space, considering it's comprised of dimensionality, as you said again, which contradicted yourself by saying it wouldn't have any spatial temporal existence, meaning it wouldn't exist in space time. But you then said it would exist at a point in space, which contradicts your argument multiple times. But then I can give this false conclusion argument.
Alright, I'll give a refutation to that by giving a simple response. Firstly, I'm thinking you're strawmanning my point because, firstly, I said zero dimensionality sure lacks spatial temporality. I agree with that, but as a whole, it's like in existence, it has no temporal axes, it has no spatial axes, but 0D is still a point in space. Wouldn't you identify that point in space to exist? Yes or no? As I'm going with the
How
objective
can
notion.
how can zero be a point in space if it lacks
I know. Listen,
spatial
I know
existence?
what you're trying to argue. You're saying spatial temporality is the main compromisation of existence as a whole. However, point as a whole, sure, it is not made of time and space. Obviously, it's not a linear line. It's not a fucking plane like a space is. But again, it's still a point that is within space. So not that it is not made of space and time, yet it still is within space. I'm not saying it's a contradiction. I'm basing off what mathematics is or what dimension it usually is. So that is what I'm trying to argue. So if you're saying zero is nothing, yet the entire point of dimensionless constructs is where there's a point within this space so in question. So I'm not referring to zero as nothing. I'm referring to dimensionless construct that still exists as a point in space. It's not made of spatial temporality. It's still existence towards space. So again, if you're going with the subset notions of existence as a whole, where you said if everything has a cause to exist, right? I'm going again. 0D can be a form of set from everything, which would contradict the premise one. Premise two would also be contradicted by the premise one as well. Then the conclusion would be a false presupposition since necessarily everything that it's trying to syllogistically follow isn't really true. So we can't really go with an objective evidence whether the universe did exist with a cause. So yeah, go ahead. I don't really see how this debunks my argument. But no,
Okay.
we can actually go to conclusions.
Okay.
No, we can go to conclusions if you want to.
No, 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 no. I won't. I'll just after this we can just move on to conclusions if you want, but I'll go with my argument. First off, again, you're referring to dimensional constructs. So for example, dimensional constructs will consist of two or more underlying dimensions. For instance, if we conceptualize a person's academic academic aptitude as consisting of two dimensions, mathematically and verbal ability, then academic aptitude is a multidimensional construct. For example, I can give this main point as a composition. Again, a composition is the nature of something's ingredients or constituents, basically meaning the nature of something's existence, basically. So if something were to exist, can I exist without space time? No. If I didn't exist without time, then I wouldn't be able to do things. I won't be able to operate well because I can't do anything if I lack time. If I don't have space, then I won't be able to be anywhere because I don't have space. I'm not bounded by space. So how can I exist if I don't have space and time?
All right. Okay. Yes. Again. Okay. Sure. I agree.
Actually, wait.
Not bounded or not contained or not being comprised of spatial temporality. Yeah, sure. Time doesn't have anything, right? Okay, so if 0D as a whole, like a point in space, would still be in their existence. Sure, it doesn't have like the
Oh
temporality
my
within
god, I already debunked this, bro.
so I don't really see how this kind of debunks anything, but
Dog, I
again,
already
I like
debunked it. I already explained a dimensional construct being between a dimensional being, meaning how these dimensional constructs would be the composition of these dimensional beings existing by consisting of two or more underlying dimensions. Like, bro, already.
wait.
Oh my
Please finish
goodness.
the
Yeah, we
sentence.
can just move on to conclusions if you want, bro.
We can move
Chat,
on
chat,
to the
chat, 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 chat. Yo, anybody in this VC, how can how can a point in space have no dimensionality, right? Have no dimensionality and lacking
MCF,
spatial context but be a point in
listen, listen,
space?
Wait, hold up.
MCF, MCF,
Let's
listen.
go with conclusions on who's in here the most. Oh wait. Um, Warrior been here the most? Oh, I think he just came in. I don't
Okay,
really.
so wait. I'm gonna like try to understand both points. I'm just gonna be unbiased here, okay?
Wait. Let Warrior
So
speak.
just to like
Warrior,
understand,
let
like,
him
okay,
actually.
so
Let him actually.
I've
Let me
understood
actually
the
just explain.
arguments. I think I
Yeah, yeah,
understood
yeah.
the arguments.
Warrior,
Boga, let's try
warrior,
to hold
warrior.
on. What?
Yeah, warrior. Let me kind of explain, right? So
Okay.
MTF is kind of confusing Axiom's argument, right? So MTF is saying that Axiom is saying that a 0D point has no dimensionality, but Axiom instead said that a 0D point has no dimensional axes, as in a dimensional axis must be one dimensional, and a zero dimensional point is what makes up that one dimensional axis. He's talking about the zero dimensional that makes up every single subset that is within our existence, right? So the argument that's going here is that MTF is arguing the Kalam cosmological argument, right? And essentially, this guy Uno is trying to refute that everything has a cause because a zero-dimensional point does not have a cause, and instead is the fundamental existence for all causes, right? In which MTF just kind of didn't really understand the argument, and it implied that
Dog.
Axiom was arguing off of no space and time, right? In which, right, it kind of made it go nowhere. Is what I'm trying to say.
Booga, 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 booga. What is a dimensional axis from?
What do you mean by that?
No, 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 no. Just answer. What is a dimensional axis from? A dimensional axis comes from a dimensional. What is it? Go ahead.
I don't understand what you mean by
Dimensional
dimensional
axis.
axis. Like, do you mean like what caused dimensionality? If you're talking about what
No.
caused,
What
wait,
causes
what'd
a
you say?
not what causes a dimensional axis? What basically what is a dimensional axis comprised of? What is a dimensional axis in?
Oh, well, a dimensional axis is actually comprised off of a dimensional axis because the
Oh my
only type of dimensional
god!
axis that is possible is something that isn't already a
Wait,
dimensional
Boga,
axis. That's about one, right? So,
wait. Let me talk, MTF. So wait, MTF. I don't know if Boga's understanding your argument, so like, let's just talk me and you. Okay, so listen, what was your premise at first?
My premise. Okay, so my main premise when during dialectic was God is a divine and unconditioned being, and the reason I moved on to this point was going by the basis of the argument. So when he said that, oh, God cannot basically, if something has to exist, God cannot be a creator or a creator cannot exist just because something has a cause to exist. And Axiom tried moving on to the point where something doesn't need a cause to exist, so he moved on to that point. So my premise was something would have a cause to exist. On this point,
Wait,
basically, on the main dialectic. Well,
wait. Wouldn't that kind of hold on? Was like you were taking the stance of God, right?
yeah, I was taking the stance that God exists.
Here's the thing, like if we take, are you taking like the Islamic one, or are you taking just like the general view of God?
Oh,
Because like
oh,
because like
I'm
God,
taking,
right? A
yeah,
God had like God has always existed. It's something that he's like he's not subject to change. So wouldn't that
yeah.
kind of
That's
like
what I was
contradict
saying.
your point of everything as a cause?
No, 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 no. No. I'm trying to say like God is unconditioned, right? And since God is unconditioned, absolute, he cannot experience anything since he is the timeless being. What I'm trying to say is that you know, a creator can exist because something has a cause to exist. And I'm conjunctioning that to God's existence on how God can exist as a divine creator. So I'm not just going by one point to another point. I'm conjunctioning two both points to make one singular argument. And this is how we moved on to the point of how basically a zero-dimensional construct or axis can be a point in space. But I don't believe that because it's a part of a dimensional construct which is underlying in space.
we don't know. Actually, no, MTF. The real thing here is just simply this, the definitions, right? Because essentially, you go to one definition of 0D, right? Zero can simply just refer to something that is nothing, right? And another definition of 0D can simply just refer to zero on a numerical axis, in which where one is one dimensional axis, in which where zero is no dimensional axis, but is instead the fundamentals needed for the dimensional axes, in which Axiom is arguing, or well, not Axiom, this guy is Uno. Uno is arguing the latter here, right? So, with this being said, right, you're not really attacking his argument, and that's why he said you were straw manning, because you're really just trying to misinterpret his, not trying to, but you're actually just misinterpreting his definitions. You're saying that one doesn't correspond to this, but it's rather just that he means one thing and you mean another, but you can't necessarily refute an argument if you don't necessarily know what he's trying to mean here, right? That's why, like, zero dimensional, you're trying to argue that zero dimensional doesn't mean a point and instead means something that's no space, and instead that's indeed a definition, but within like caught like generally understandable understandable, physics, right? The Big Bang or the singularity or whatever that came from the Big Bang is generally known as 0D. The singularity within black holes is generally known as 0D, even though that is a thing and it does obviously have space because it's space itself. It literally is a fundamental for space, and which is where Axiom is trying to argue, right? Or
Exactly.
Okay, wait.
uno.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna send you a
Ask the
scan real quick. You
question.
said dimensional axis of a zero-dimensional space. Okay, so first off, look at this. Look at the scan I sent. What axis is it of? Because right now it's looking like a 2 or 3D axis. And as you see, if we look up zero-dimensional, it's just a dot.
I'm not saying that's the problem. Is I never said that zero dimensional is an axis. I'm saying it makes up the axes. Or if you were to axiomatically assert that it is an axis, it is the axis that is the fundamental notion for all the axes that make up dimensionality, right?
No, nope, 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 bro.
Hold
First
on.
off,
Wait.
let me
The
get this straight.
question. Can
So,
you ask
first
Wade,
off,
G?
he already
No,
said
no. Can
that
you ask
it
Wade,
lacks
G? Can you ask
spatial
Wade?
temporal context. Listen, Uno, you're probably talking right now, but listen, I have your volume turned down so I can just talk to Booga privately. But anyways, as I already said
Wait,
again,
wait. Where is he? Where is he?
zero is basically nothing, and
Where?
I gave to the context how this would also conjunction to something zero-dimensional. Again, an axis is a part of a construct. And again, if you look at dimensional axis, it defines it in a coordinate system between dimensional spaces. And if you and by dimensional constructs, I already give the analogy consisting of two or more underlying dimensions. So I can go infinitely on what dimensions I can go of. And again, this is why I said again, I will repeat it. For instance, if we conceptualize a person's academic aptitude as consisting of two dimensions, mathematically and verbal ability, then academic attitude is a multidimensional construct. So an axis of something that is dimensional would still be part of a construct which is dimensional, meaning it has spatial and temporal a meaning. If not temporal, then still spatial at least. And this would basically contradict his own point by saying something has an axis, even though it needs to have a main, thing. And something zero dimensional can have an axis or be a part of a construct, considering the main definition for zero is nothing in a conjunction. There's something zero dimensional. Do you get my point?
I get what your argument is whenever
We can
when
go
I'm
by
hearing
understanding.
it.
Wait.
Okay, MCF. So you're again confusing his argument. What he means by spatio-temporal, right? He's not saying spatial and temporal. He said spatio-temporal.
I know that.
Spatio-temporal is something entirely different, right? So yeah, so something spatio-temporal implies already within his definition multiple spatial and temporal axes, in which he's saying zero-dimensional construct, right? In which I just proclaimed to you that a zero-dimensional construct does not have axes; it makes up axes, and you try to go on to the argument that okay, something that has no axes cannot be
Wait,
part of
so
some
Boga, was
construct,
there a
which is
disagreement on the
axiomatically not
definition?
true.
Was there a disagreement on the
Essentially, yeah,
definition?
it's essentially is a disagreement on the definition, and that's why
Okay.
like getting straw
So they
man
weren't on
you.
the same
That's
page,
very
were they?
fine.
So they
No,
weren't on
they
the same
weren't on
page, were
the
they?
same page at all. That's
No.
why I'm trying to bring this up.
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on.
Okay, yeah.
I'll turn Booga's
I don't
volume up.
think we'd. I listen. It's like I think we should probably just get them on track instead of like concluding completely, since they were like not on the same page here.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's what I'm
let's get
trying to
them.
say
So here's the
here.
thing: do we get so let's get them to agree on one definition and get them to agree to like
Hold
debate
on.
on that
Wait, hold
instead
on.
of like
Give
Yeah,
me a second.
yeah,
just
I
going
agree.
about, because
I
Listen,
it seems
agree.
listen,
like
real
they're
quick.
having way too many disagreements on multiple
I agree.
occasions on this. Like, yeah. So so you guys can. So here's the thing: do you guys have any definition that you guys want to agree on, or do you guys want to continue like having a conversation on the
No,
specific points?
I
But
just
I
want to
know it's gonna go
continue.
circular.
No, like I want to continue on the conclusion because I found like some things Booga said. Because Booga, can you repeat your argument? Because you said that you were trying
Okay.
to argue that an axis has no context of spatial temporal.
You that's not what I was saying at all. What I'm trying to say here is that a zero dimensional construct, even if you were to consider a point, right? Who's that? Okay, thank you. Anyways, so if a zero dimensional considered a point in space. It is not a spatio-temporal construct because a spatio-temporal construct must consist of one-dimensional axes and one dimension of time, or be under a one dimension of time, in which a zero-dimensional construct, even if it is just a point, is not a dimensional axis. What you're not understanding about this is that it's not a dimensional axis, at least in the point, in the sense that Axiom or Uno, actually Uno is it's called easy Uno, he's trying to talk about, right? And so you then try and say that something cannot structure off of another thing unless it is an axis, which is a dumb analogy because atoms make up all the objects we see, and an atom is not a spatio-temporal axis, right? It's just a dumb argument.
Okay. So first off, let me get this straight. Let's say this. A dot, like a zero, so by your definition, a zero-dimensional construct or something is a dot. So let's say I just press my pencil on a paper, right? And I make a dot. And that dot exists because of a cause, and that cause was me pressing my pencil on the paper, making a dot. Therefore, that dot, which is a wait, zero-dimensional
I would like to say
thing,
something. A
of
dot.
course,
Is,
you
okay,
can.
okay. A dot.
You know, Zim, I have your volume turned down. I cannot hear you, so it's
Oh
useless to speak. Okay. Again,
shit.
uh, bro, you know what, this nigga's still speaking. Anyways, I draw a dot, right? It's because a dot is a zero-dimensional construct.
Where the
I
fuck
don't know
we're
how to
not?
say it because I feel like I will accidentally concede myself, but I'm just gonna say construct because I don't know what word to choose. But yeah, let's just say a zero-dimensional construct, right? So this thing has a cause to exist. And his argument was the zero-dimensional construct doesn't have a cause to exist. So if I can draw a dot, which is a zero-dimensional construct, then that means it has a cause to exist because I'm the one who made that exist because I'm the one who drew the dot.
Hey, yo, can I
Do you get my
speak?
point?
Can I speak?
Are you done now? Hold on, Axiom. Uno. Anyways, MTF leader, right? So within your pencil analogy, right? The thing is, if you were to draw the dot that you're actually thinking of, is not the same dot I use to proclaim, is a zero-dimensional construct, right? I directly specified in my definition that it must be something or that one thing that comprises up a one-dimensional construct, in which your pencil analogy does not do, because a pencil induces lead in order to draw something, and that lead in question is not zero-dimensional, right? To be zero-dimensional, you must have no dimensional axes, in which I've already proclaimed, right? And even if we were to assert that the pencil caused the dot to exist, right, and that dot is indeed zero-dimensional, that just leads to circular reasoning because the pencil itself is already constructed off of zero-dimensional things, in which it would obviously have to be caused by zero-dimensional things in order to be fundamentally made up by these zero-dimensional things, right? So just to prove logically that okay, every dimensional construct is made out of a zero-dimensional
Oh wait,
construct,
Buga,
right?
Buga, I gotta
We know
speak.
that cubes are made out of squares. We know that squares are made out of lines. We know that lines are made out of dots, right? And we can extend this into any higher dimension. Tesseracts are made out of cubes, etc., 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 etc. And we can put this into whatever dimensional shape that we can comprise of here, right? Because lower dimensional objects obviously make up the higher dimensional objects. A zero-dimensional
Can I
thing
speak?
being
Wait, wait,
one-dimensional,
hold up.
one-dimensional
Even if, wait,
object.
wait, Buga, 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 wait, hold up. Even if
Okay.
we say that, okay,
So
hold up.
first
Even if we
off,
say
don't
the
confuse my
analogy,
argument with the analogy I just gave.
argument,
Basically,
Wait,
let me try to understand your
is
argument.
it alright if
Again,
we sort of agree
okay, I have this
on?
nigga's volume
One
turned down
second.
on. How can I still hear him? Anyways, like,
hold up, wait. Even if we
uh,
say that his
yo, is he
analogy
talking?
of the pencil thing is
Anyways,
correct, it never
as I was
necessarily
saying, right?
agreed on this on the argument. He
Again,
just went to
I was just
conclusions
trying to
on
understand your
this
point
argument.
about something zero dimensional construct. Again, by what you said again, you said that it's something that has no form to exist. So if it has no form to exist, then how can it exist as form to exist? Again, by my
Um,
definition, is zero dimensional construct
MTF leader,
containing
That's not
conjunctions on
that's not
which is
what he
nothing.
said
So how can
though.
nothing exist? Again, that's literally what I'm trying to ask. That's all I want. How can nothing exist? Because first of all, you're just going by a dimensional construct, like your conjunction to existing dimensional constructs, such as something having axes, such as something having one dimensional, two dimensional, four dimensional, three dimensional, whatever, right? But the thing is, you're arguing that a zero dimensional construct is the reason why these exist. But that would make that zero dimensional construct something, considering it making the cause to exist, and for thing to have cause on needs to exist, needs to be something. So definition of
Wait,
zero is
wait,
just
quick question,
nothing.
quick question.
Then how would it basically
Can we
use
agree on this
representations,
external definition that I
whatever
got from
representations
the
of these
PDF?
dimensional
Wait,
constructs,
Hold
one-dimensional
on, hold on,
constructs?
Mario.
Okay,
Okay, so
that's
MCF, are you
complete.
talking to me or
Okay, that
Axiom?
is a
Let's talk.
beautiful. Okay, yeah, that is a beautiful argumentation right there. But can we
Oh,
agree on this definition
MC,
right here that I got from a PDF? Yes or no?
hold on. MCF, are you talking to me or Uno here? First off,
The first answer that we just zero-dimensional construct refers to a theoretical. It's theoretical. Anyways, point or location in space that lacks dimensionality, meaning it has no length, width, or height. It's a conceptual abstraction used mathematics and physics to represent a position without any spatial extent. So let's go by this real quick.
Let's go by this real quick. Let's go by this. First off, his argument was it uh was it not having them to exist. So again, this is saying that it exists. Okay, and again, hold on, wait, fuck, hold on, my throat. Again, let's see here. It's a theoretical point. So by that, see, what is a theoretical concern with something or involve the theory of a subject or area study rather than a particular application. So again, it's based off something, right? It's based off a subject. Since it's a subject, we can argue that it's just an opinion on how something would work. Again, opinions and beliefs on how something would work is subjective. Otherwise, it can be proved or justified on how that will work. Again, this definition for zero-dimensional construct is just saying how the definition would work, but it's not saying how it can be fully justified for it to actually be an existing product on how it would, function, operate in this external reality or in this, general physical laws of physics. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. Again, his argument was that a zero-dimensional point cannot exist. So again, by this, hold on a sec. Yo, wait, can someone track?
I
Wait, can someone track? Can someone track? Can someone track? Can
we are
yo,
Yeah,
all
wait,
that,
tracking here,
hold on.
and I will say that once I'll just bring up the point that
yep.
Uno never at all said that you know what? Why are y'all confusing Uno with Axiom? I'm doing the same thing though. But anyways, though, right? Like you said that he said that zero-dimensional constructs do not exist. He never at all ever said
Hold
this.
on,
This
hold on,
never was
hold
said.
on, hold on, hold on. Hold on. Let's track back at the fucking because hold on. I have multiple report. I'm gonna end this one here and I'm gonna start a new one. Okay. Because I have fucking how long? How much? I have fucking yeah.
Can
This
I
one.
say something? Hold up. Can I say
I'll
something?
send it to your fucking whatever.
Can I say
Just
something?
just give me a
Can I
second.
say
It's multiple.
something? Wait, can I say
So
something?
I'll just send it to you
Yes,
and
yes,
y'all guys
yeah,
track
yes,
it. Just like
Yeah, Uno,
Yeah,
go ahead.
okay. Okay, can I say something? Okay.
first
For all
off,
of these things that
by
MCF leader or
we
quote
can
unquote
track what
Trinity gave
happened
him, all
because
of
I
these
think we
arguments that he
just confused
gave.
arguments right there. Because
Hold on, can I speak?
last
Wait, can I
time
speak? Can I speak? Can I speak?
he was
Can I
arguing
speak? Can I
that,
speak? Can I
and I
speak?
was
Can I speak? Oh
arguing
yeah,
that, and we
yeah,
was
just
arguing that, and
obviously.
I'm arguing this. We're arguing two different things. This conjunction are always to do different things.
MCF
Right now,
leader, can I
this I'm
speak?
asking,
Can I
this why I'm
speak?
asking you guys to track the debate because we just confuse points. You know.
Hold on, can I speak? Can I speak?
Okay, go ahead. Like,
I'll just speak. Okay, okay. So Trinity, when you added this entire thing, like theoretical point, or that a cause with time via the pencil analogy, let's say theoretically that these things you said are true. When the fuck did you give this argument when we were debating? Like when? You were arguing on something different, now you added something in the conclusion. So how is that fucking good for you? Like
because he
what?
gave the definition. He gave the
Yeah, he gave the
he gave
definition, but these arguments
He
in
definitely
conjunction
knows.
towards zero, which is in our argument.
Okay,
That's in a conclusion, though. So if we're going to a conclusion, we're going based off of the arguments going on. That's not what it is.
if he's conjunct the addition to this dialectic, the means that the definition is an argument to this dialectic.
But
So,
still, it's a separation
both
from an
of
argument. It's not a conclusion.
I will
We have a
no,
conclusion is what we're arguing based upon what's in the dialectic. So what's in the arguments? That's what I'm saying. You can't specifically add something to defend your arguments while in the conclusion when you're specifying conclusion from the other argument that is in the dialect. So again, if you give the pencil analogy, it's irrelevant to what happened in dialectic. It's a conclusion. Yeah.
that was our that was something that is absolutely my side. I was just trying to understand Ruga's point on what he meant, and that's why I'm
Okay, you're trying to
agreeing
understand
him.
Buddha's point. Wait, hold on. So you have no reason to argue on Buddha. Because Buga's basing our arguments on, Buga is basing the entire argument based upon our argument.
Bro, you're cutting off.
Oh
Like
wait,
you're
holy
mad.
shit. Am I cutting up? Anyway, so we just went into internal rapping. Can we ask the nigga? Wait, who does he think was winning? Let me ask
Uno, leave and rejoin real quick?
nigga, my
Because like,
fucking up is shit.
Guys, real quick. Okay, first off, before fucking, I don't just anything point, like watch the recording, check the whole shit, because I already said that. I already said that he made a claim that said that a serial
Alright, bro.
that
Wait, hold on. Buga.
construct
Should I tell the
cannot
audience
exist in space, not exist, considering it would not have a cause to exist. Right? That's what it means. So since I'm trying to argue this against them, trying it's non-existent. Wait, hold on. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm tracked. Okay, good. So yeah, that's what I'm basing it off of. That is a contradiction for something to exist with a cause. Because the state is that if something like a demonstration exists, can exist, but no, it can exist without a cause, right? Exist without a cause. So I'm trying to argue how it would be non-existent if it didn't exist without a cause, and I'm trying to argue how it would be existent if it didn't have a cause to exist. If it has in space to exist, then that means it has a cause to exist. Again, that's what I'm trying to prove here, and I'm trying to counter this argument with. And again, I'm fucked.
just to point this out, not necessarily because this argument is apparently just the explanation, not to directly just like refute the argument itself, but I'm going to say that Axiom made an argument as to this zero-dimensional thing being a subset of all things, right? And this subset of all things would include causality. So the thing is, right, MTF leader, is that with this being said, if you're trying to make the argument that something cannot exist without a cause, then how does causality exist? Essentially, what essentially what Uno was saying is that this zero-dimensional object would just be causality itself, right? And
I
essentially,
mean,
if you're saying that causality has a cause, then this would just contradict your argument. Yes?
If again, that is a concept that says everything has a cause. Again, I can say causality is
Yo,
the
wait, quick
for
question. I think my daddy asked him to save me, bro. I think my daddy asked him to save me. Hold up. Can I say something? I need my daddy asked him to save me. I gotta go get a dog.
oh,
What the heck happened there?
anyways,
Frick,
like saying
bro blasted off.
causality is a principle or concept by which one will process state or object. So basically, guys, I think the definition since these things basically the cause partly responsible for the effect and the effects partly depend on the cause. And so in other terms, a process has many which are also said to be a causal factor of causal factors for it, and lie in its past and effect can in turn be a cause of or causal effect for many other effects, which all lie in its future. Some, because I know that some people or some libels have no
What happened?
effect
Yo,
or
I
something
got
like
what happened to my brother? My brother said he was beating my ass.
you shut the fuck up.
Literally beating me
Anyways, listen, it's part of notions of time
What happened?
and color.
Wait,
So causality is causality. As if one cannot be can be causally considered. If we're supposed to say that a zero-dimensional construct is a part, because it's mainly about something constructed and things argued. So by this, it is the prior part of dimensionality. So a zero dimension can be called as if everything that I know of. Okay? So
Okay, what's up, my nerds? I got added from Unoism. He said he was getting annoyed, so I have to join in. Hey, yo, where's Unoism? Holy shit, that nigga is dead, bro. He's retarded. He be talking real shit, saying he beat me in arm wrestling, even though I beat the fuck out of that nigga in a fight. What's up, bros? What are you doing? You debating on what? Debating on what? I'm what, bro? I'm so rushy today. I don't know why. Did I just drink some sugar? Holy shit.
Axiom. I'm just gonna point out that it's incredibly, it's whatever.
Guys,
Oh, wait. Let me and Buga summarize. Okay, wait, Buga, speak up.
I was so first off, actually, I'd like to you and Uno having the exact same voice and him disappearing and you popping.
Okay, listen, it's obvious. Okay, it's obvious that they're both the same person. I mean, they have both have the owner role. They have the same voice, and they have the same arguments. I mean, this is about like B C tier acting, I guess. Like, good job, Axiom. But here's the thing. Let's get right into it.
Yo, no, Unoism exists. He's just asleep. I knocked him out and stole his phone. He does exist. What are you talking about?
So you knocked him out and stole his phone in the matter of like 2 seconds since one of you left and then one of you rejoined.
Oh, why the fuck am I acting so fucking crazy? I'm fucking crazy. What did I drink? Did I drink some cum? Holy shit! Why am I talking fast?
What? He just said he drunk some cum, bro. I asked him.
Was it milk? No, it was not cum. It was milk. It was milk.
It was
Milk.
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 my fucking God.
What?
What was, I don't know what please. If you're really young, maybe because I don't actually only you're not me because of the bit, so I don't need to it's fine.
No, listen. I wasn't trying for that debate. Obviously, I was acting like Unoism. I'm trying to act my voice thing like this. This does not do my.
If anything, get changer. Do this book
No.
if you see my
Huh? Wait, no. Never mind. Anyways, let's get back to the argument. Anyways, what was going on here? What was the argument? Go ahead.
Wait, Axiom, I have a pro tip if you want to act. If you want to act, change your accent. Like, get an Indian accent or something.
Indian accent. Anyways, what's going on? What's going on? Anyways, Warrior, what's going on, bro? I'm just new. I just came in. I don't know what the argument is. What the top? Unoism was
Alright,
recorded.
alright, Mr. Knocked Unoism out. So what happened was that they were debating on, zero dimensionality on and how it operates and how it exists, which nobody really has information of. They both agreed on the definition, but yeah, I don't think neither of their points can be proven since like zero dimensionality is simply an abstraction. But yeah, listen, that's basically what I've got. What I've gotten so far. But I've seen both arguments. Although I didn't see Unoism's contention to MTF leader's previous argumentation. So,
What?
but Buga was Buga was like